Hi guys, my name's Emily, and I'm making this video to talk about Legacies. Legacies is a CW show, or was, it's over now. It was a spin-off of a spin-off from the Vampire Dairies. So Vampire Dairies, the originals, then Legacies. So Legacies, to give you the premise, I'm just going to read it off of Wikipedia. Legacies follows Hope Michelson, the daughter of Klaus Michelson and Haley Marshall, who is descended from some of the most powerful vampire, werewolf, and witch bloodlines. 2 years after the events of the originals, 17-year-old Hope attends the Salvatore School for the Young and Gifted. The school provides a haven where supernatural beings can learn to control their abilities and impulses. So just to give you an idea. It also follows Josie Saltzman and Lizzie Saltzman, like they're also Legacies as well. But in reality, we kind of just got a lot of plot lines that didn't revolve around them overall, but hey. I don't know if you've ever seen this image, but basically there's 3 dragon heads. 2 of them look really cool, and the other one looks pretty goofy. I think that third one is Legacies. And it's not to say I don't like this show. I love this show. It's probably my favorite of the 3. I just like kind of corny, campy shows. They're my favorite. I just think they're so much fun. Like, they're goofy. I love it. But there are things that kind of didn't go as well as the other 2. Not to say that those didn't also have their issues, but Legacies was different. And so I came up with a few reasons why I think the overall audience wasn't exactly loving the show. It only had 4 seasons. We tried for a 5th, or tried to get a 5th one, but CW was like, no, we're not doing that. And then they just axed like all of their shows. So good for them, I guess. Before I continue, spoilers for this show. I'm going to be talking about some of the points, like season 3, season 4. So if you don't want to be spoiled, watch the entire show, and then come back and watch this video. Okay. So the first point I have is the change in tone in terms of the different series. You have TVD in the originals being pretty dark and mature overall in terms of a teen and young adult show. Like, we have people dying in these shows, but also getting resurrected, but then dying, but then being resurrected again. But I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say. People get their necks snapped, they're out of the game, but then they come back. Just in general, the overall like look of it is darker. How they handle the magic is darker. Like, blood sacrifice, you know, killing off rats. Not to say that Legacies didn't do that like a few times, but which I think were the best parts of Legacies when it came to it, their use of magic. Legacies kind of handled magic more like Harry Potter, where bright colors and which is so different from, you know, Bonnie Bennett just saying Latin and making fire appear.
That's much as brothers.
So those 2 shows are darker and mature, whereas Legacies is more campy, power of friendship, you could say. I mean, sure, there is like some betrayal to some degree, but not really as dark. There's some points in the show where you're watching, you're just like, did this come from the same universe? The same TVD universe? Like, there's a little pink monster thing that's like high-pitched voice.
Have somebody quick throw a blanket over it and we'll find out if it can talk.
Screw you! How's that for talking?
Grab it.
Too slow! Too slow!
And then there's a Santa Claus. A killer Santa Claus.
Merry Christmas, Hope!
And also a musical episode. So, taking a page from Riverdale, certainly. Just overall, the tone of Legacies was very far off from the first 2 series, which Julie Plec, the creator of the all three series. I think she mentioned how she wanted a shift in just in general. You know, she spent so many years doing dark, mature, and now she's like, let's just do a musical episode, which, okay.
One thing I should mention here too is Legacy's connection to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. They tried to take a lot of inspiration from it, if you really look into it. And it makes sense too, because Brett Matthews worked on the show, and he was basically the co-writer with Julia Plec.
There's one promo of a photo shoot where everyone's kind of dressed in like dark academia clothes, muted colors, darker. It just felt more serious, and it just was not this dark academia vibe that they got in this one photo shoot was just completely different from all of Legacies. Even season 1 wasn't that dark academia, so I don't really know what they were going for there. But I don't know.
It sure is one thing, though. I think a lot of fans definitely wanted the dark academia vibe. But sadly, we just never got it. I think with this promo, and also the past series tone, it made a lot of fans think the show was going to get darker at one point. Or at least lean a little bit into that, like, again, that dark academia vibe.
One other thing, too, about the show is it felt like all the characters were, like, good neutral, you know? In terms of their alignment. No one felt as though they were, besides Penelope, I think, which is honestly, she was my favorite, probably one of my favorite characters of season 1, because she was a morally gray character. Besides her, almost everybody was like a good doer, which, that sounds bad. Man, I really wish people were just terrible people. No, that's not what I mean. Well, characters-wise, like, I wish we had more betrayal, more, you know, more people trying to get their own interest, more, instead of just this, you know, everyone's like a good guy. We got it a little bit, actually, with Cleo. Because once she tried to kill Hope, which was like, oh crap, like, you know, what are her interests? Like, what, you know, what's her motive to doing this, to wanting the Triber dead? But then she also became a good guy, which I love Cleo, so I don't really care. But beyond that, again, besides those 2 points of 2 morally gray characters, it just felt kind of boring overall.
The originals do a great job of this. They handle the different factions, whether it be the supernaturals versus the humans, or the witches versus the werewolves, or the vampires. They handle all of these different factions very well, in the sense where everyone, you know, may or may not be good or evil, but they all have their reasonings on doing what they're doing.
I really wish we had more dark vibes to the show. We didn't really get that. And a lot of, like, the audience was kind of like, there's so many times, like, the question popped up where it's like, is this show ever going to get darker? Oh, I think it'll get darker when, you know, as they go on, as the series goes on, like, as they get older. But it never really did. So, and, I mean, it did, again, a tiny bit with season 4, but even then, it's like, too little too late. And then you get canceled by the CW. So, the show that we got versus the show that they marketed that one time, or a few times, I'm not quite sure. Honestly, I got into the show in the hiatus before season 2, so I don't quite know how people received it. But yeah, it was just different, and I don't know why they did that. Granted, it's not like Legacy's promotion was ever really that good. I mean, we got like was it season 3 where we got this poster where, like, there's just water just running down the stairs and everyone's just posing? It's like, okay, why is there water? I don't know. Anyways, there's so much more better fan-made posters and promo that just puts all of CW's Legacy's promotion to shame. So I guess we have this one promo that looks cool. So another thing as well is Legacies became a Monster of the Week type show, which honestly I didn't mind. Granted, disclaimer, I first started watching Legacies, I didn't even know it was a spinoff of a spinoff. And then I watched all of season 1, And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Like, they're giving, like, a lot of exposition. Like, what is this? So I look it up, and I'm like, oh, it's a spin-off of a spin-off. Yeah, I didn't know that. So I literally watched all of each series, and so I got caught up pretty quick. But anyways, it was Monster of the Week series. Different from the other two series, which were more serial, where basically it just, each episode builds more of the plot for the whole season, not episodic. It was definitely a shift. And again, that's another thing where Julie Plec was like, yeah, like, I kind of want to change it too. I want to change the vibe of this show and not have it be like any of the others. Which, I don't know. I guess if you're doing it for so long, it's like, I understand where she's going with it, but at the same time, it's like, this audience was literally brought in because they liked the other two shows. We liked how you did these two shows. Why are you changing it so drastically with these characters that we love? And you're like, let's just change it. Just throw a curveball and change the whole premise, basically. Again, I liked the Monster of the Week, but after a while it kind of was draining, especially as it got later and later into the series. And I also didn't mind it either because, at least the first season, because you gave a good reason as to why it's Monster of the Week, which involved Malivore being the big bad who just wouldn't go away.
Malivore? This bitch is everywhere!
So yeah, Malivore was the big bad. They probably should have moved on from him, but hey. They did, and we got a fight against the gods, so.
Dude.
So yeah, overall, Legacies had a pretty big jump in terms of the tone, the structure of the series, and people were kind of like, wow. My second point I have to make is the show's ships.
I should also mention I kind of go into a big tangent in this section, so sorry about that.
There were a lot of them. And there were some that were very popular, like Hosey, and there were some that weren't so popular at all. Or there were some that were just complete crack ships, like, what's his name? Oh my god. Is it Wayne? No. What's his name? There was a joke about people not remembering his name. What is it? It's not Wayne, is it? Landon and the fairy dude. Also, yeah, there's fairies now. What the heck is his name? Oh my god. Hold on. I need to actually watch a video. Hold on. Last time on Legacies. Where the hell is he? Wade! It's Wade! Is it not Wade?
It's an accident.
Where the heck?
Nothing triggered it.
Okay, hold on. Is his name Wade? I'm just looking it up now. Wade. It is Wade! Ah, yes, okay. Yeah. Wayne and Landon. There you go. That's like the biggest crack ship. While I wouldn't say that ships really overall ruined the show, it definitely caused a lot of chaos. And so, depending on who you shipped with whoever, it kind of drastically changed your perception of the show. Especially with season 3. You either loved or hated season 3. For the reason that the showrunners really wanted to get Handon endgame, which, hey, if you like Handon, A-okay with you. Hey, it's alright. I don't mind. I like Hosey. But, you do you. I'm not here to judge. A lot of season 3 was a train wreck. You could definitely tell after COVID, the showrunners were just like, you know what? We're going to go full camp, you know, like we do not care. This is when we get the musical episode. We get we get season 3 episode 4, which was crazy. You know, I'm sorry, it's a crazy one.
What are you doing? Don't you dare!
Landon? 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 Landon?
I don't know. Season 3 was crazy. Is that the one where we get pandas? Hold on. Or is that season 4? No! That's season 3! I forgot about that. I thought that was season 4 for some reason. I'm like, no, I actually liked season 4. Season 3, we get pandas.
And a squad on 3. 1, 2.
We get Hope scooping up her lover in a mason jar and sealing it after they do it. And then we have a Star Wars episode. It's crazy. Season 3 is crazy. Again, if you like Handon, then you'll love season 3 because there was a lot of Handon scenes, which, again, if you like him, good on you. I don't care. Not that that sounds bad. I don't care that you like them. Not okay. But honestly, anyone who didn't like Handon was pretty disappointed. Because a lot of it was Hope being glued to the hip to Landon, which, whatever, hey. Well, not whatever. Not whatever. It was, dare I say, a little unhealthy. I don't know. Depending on who you shipped, you either really enjoyed this show because it catered a lot towards Handon, or you really were just frustrated with this show because the show catered to Handon. Another thing, too, I guess this is kind of like my 2.5 point that kind of really derailed Legacies was COVID. COVID affected Legacies at the end of season 2. Season 2, I think, was supposed to have 20 episodes, but it actually was cut short to 16 because of COVID. Season 2 kind of had like a weird cutoff point where like there's no, you know, big climax to the season. It ended off with a fairy tale with Josie and Hope and a pig.
Josie? Josie, wake up.
You should try kissing her, maybe.
I was the pig?
And then it picks back up with season 3 having 20 episodes. But the first 4 were what would have been the last 4 episodes of season 2. It's just weird because you're trying to end a season at the beginning of a new one. It was kind of weird. And again, not to mention how weird season 3 got when it came to the musical episode, the Pandemonium, which I don't know what, that was fun. Again, I like corny shows, so I liked it, but it was weird. And then also a Star Wars episode, which I like Star Wars, but again, are we watching the same TVD universe? No, I don't think so.
So to deal with the COVID-19 protocols of having less people on set, Legacies was like, okay, how can we make it to where we're in a safe working environment? And how they do that is to have a storyline saying,
Where are all the other students?
No, we're at the pickup spot. Must have been some kind of miscommunication.
Yeah, they're not coming back. I received a letter from a group of concerned parents. Apparently enlisting the whole school in a battle royale against the necromancer was the last straw, so they no longer feel safe here and they're transferring to other schools.
Well, what about the faculty?
Well, without those tuition checks coming in, we can't afford all the teachers, so...
which honestly makes a lot of sense. It feels a lot like Hogwarts where it is not a safe school. But that's the thing, this storyline of students leaving, it brings on such a good 2-episode arc. It's my favorite arc of all time. Basically, no students are coming, so they're like, oh my gosh, what can we do?
Simple math is fewer students equals less tuition, which is why the smoothie bar has been shuttered. Our first, hopefully last, Salvatore School fundraiser month.
The Leprechaun episode happens really because we don't have any tuition because there's no students. So they're like, okay, let's just like try to make the biggest bake sale and tag sale of like all time. And they use the leprechaun to get people to buy their stuff. I feel like Legacies could have avoided showing any sort of effect of COVID at all, but for some reason they chose to make all of their students leave, and that's the thing too. They could have just not shown that many extras, but they for some reason decided to just break the immersion of it and do this silly arc.
So my third point for the show is a lot of the actors leaving the show for one reason or another. So we have Roth leaving. We also have Josie leaving in season 4. And speaking of Josie, almost all of her love interests leaving. First we have Penelope, and then we have Jade.
You should probably know each other better by now. I mean, your dad was dating my mom, and my sister had that huge crush on you.
We really gave her a complex of people just leaving her. Oh, Maya left too, which I actually thought Maya would be cool, but we did nothing with her. We instead got Ethan, who just becomes invisible.
Legacies becomes the show of what could have been. What could have happened if all these characters stayed around? Of course, they all have their own reasonings for leaving the show, whether it be to pick up another role or just their lack of joy of doing the show anymore. It just is kind of a shame to think what could have happened to Roth. What could have happened to Josie in the merge? All of those questions just aren't answered. Even the side characters like Penelope. Penelope was one of my favorite characters in season 1. And then she just leaves to Belgium. And again, I mentioned how I liked Maya as well. And I think people were thinking she would maybe become a werewolf. But that just never happened. Again, what could have been?
We have season 3 and a little bit of season 4 having Hope and Landon just doing the same pattern over and over and over again, where Hope thinks that he will die at the snap of a finger, and he's like, no, Hope, I can defend myself. And then it just keeps happening. It keeps repeating. Even with Lizzie and MG, again, it's all of MG being like, hey, Lizzie, I think you're really cool. And then Lizzie's just like, oh, wow, thanks. And then goes off and to do something else, and he's like, oh no. Everything was a cycle when it came to Legacies by the time of season 3. It just was kind of redundant. It happened. Move on. Let's change it up a little bit. Give us different dynamics, you know? But nothing happened.
I will say though, season 2 does a good job of giving us different dynamics, especially in the beginning of the season. We're dealing with the aftermath of Hope jumping into the Malivore pit and having everyone forget who she is. And so we're able to show different dynamics of who is this Hope person? What is she doing here? Is she suspicious? We also get to see the dynamics that form with the absence of Hope.
Oh, sorry. That is embarrassing. We haven't met yet, have we? I'm Lizzie.
And then season 4, a lot happened. And then it's like, no, you're already canceled. So, cool. And that is my 4th point. Season 4 was good. I liked season 4. It was fun. It was different. It took a lot of what was a cycle of season 3 and had different dynamics, like Dark Hope.
You were only holding me back. Because I finally realized I am my father's daughter. And I'm cool with that.
So season 4 felt a lot like it was too little too late. We had a lot of interesting storylines. The thing is, though, is the show was basically going to be canceled already. Sure, we got a little bit of Dark Hope and Tribid Hope for that matter.
We need more cannon fodder. How many students are there at the school?
But again, the show was done after that season. And then we also saw Heretic Lizzie, which was cool, but then the show just ended because
Hey, bitch.
too little too late. All the storylines that we were kind of promised in season 1, or at least even before the show even aired, the Tribrid Hope, the merge between the Saltzman twins, like, we had these plots already in our head, like, oh, like, what's gonna happen? You know, these are gonna happen eventually. Like, when are we gonna see it? When are we gonna see the merge?
And technically we did see the merge. They solved it by having a loophole in place, which really isn't unlike the TVD universe to have done that. I think maybe under different contexts it would have been better executed, but with it being, you know, surrounded by the necromancer and a boxing match, I was like, but that's just my opinion.
Granted, I do like how they did Hope's Tribrid, how they handled it. We got to see Freya again, we got to see the Michelsons, and that was nice. And even with her having to switch off, or try to switch on her humanity, it was nice to see them all again.
Overall, with all the storylines that we got from Legacies, it just felt like all of them could be executed better. And I'm no film major, so I don't know how I would make them better. But just overall, it felt like it wasn't enough. You have all this hype, like I said, from the other shows and all the storylines that were built from those shows connecting into this one, and it just felt a little bit like a letdown.
I just feel like there's, as like a concluding thought, I feel like Legacies could have been so cool, you know? The premise of it, you know, having Hope Michelson, you know, sooner or later become Tribrid Hope. And I actually did, again, I liked how they did it in season 4, but granted, it took a little too long. We stayed too long on Malivore and the Necromancer and the whole Monster of the Week plot. It could have been so much cooler. Even Dark Josie could have been cooler. The villains could have been cooler. You know, I wish the characters were a little more mortally gray. I wish Alaric wasn't in the show. You know, I wish people who left the show had a bigger role, like Maya, Penelope, Jade. I didn't mind Jade. She was cool, but like,
We shouldn't be a thing, right? I mean, like, I'm way older than you. I used to, like, babysit you, so...
Yeah, it's a little weird.
But yeah, like, even Raph, after, like, season 2, this dude's, like, gone. He is not on our screens ever again. And it's not even the fact that he's not on the show. He's on the show. He's just not being used. I kind of wish that they leaned a little more into the Dark Academia vibes. And, like, with that, we would have had better executed dark eras in the sense of, like, Dark Josie, Dark Hope, you know, Landon being a villain.
Which, can I just say, I think Arya did a great job playing the villains. I wish we got more of it. I thought his acting was so good. It brought such, like, a different energy to the show. And yeah, I wish we had more of it.
We could have had so much, like, cooler villains than the Necromancer.
And who the hell are you?
Oh, your pathetic attempt at humor does nothing to mask your fear. Tremble, then, in the presence of the Necromancer!
And, like, Malivore was, like, a freaking mud dude. Like, he wasn't really that threatening. And so, yeah, those are a few reasons why I think Legacies kind of fell short overall. It's one of my favorite shows, you know? This was a show I watched a ton during quarantine, and it was really fun to experience it with a bunch of people online who I didn't know, you know, but we all just loved the show. Like, the thing is, though, is after every episode, I would complain to my roommate about how the show had so many issues. And every time my roommate was like, hey, maybe you should stop watching the show if you don't like it, you know? Which, true, I get you. But that's the thing is, this show was like a drug, you know? Literally, this, you know, whatever episode you're on, like, it could end so bad and you're just like, oh my god, like, what the heck, come on. Like, this should have been this or this should have been that, you know, like, what are we doing here? And then I'm just like, no, like, I love the characters. I love the show. Again, I love how corny the show can be. I love how, you know, the campiness aspect to it. I mean, yeah, there's some changes I'd want to make to the show. But hey, I still love the show. It was so much fun to watch. Again, I plan on doing 4 episodes for each, or 1 for each season, kind of as like a season review. And I think that'd be fun because I can go into more specific episodes and talk about them. So yeah, so if you like the video, thanks. You know, if you like this sort of stuff, I'm gonna do more of it. Also, I have shows in mind, but if you have any, throw them down in the comments. You know, it'd be fun. I'm interested in different shows. Obviously, that sounds. Anyways, I hope you liked it. Like and subscribe. Thanks. All right, bye.